So Nancy was brought up in the church, a variety of churches as I understood it. And generationally, so her parents, her siblings, her grandparents, it's very much a part of their family unit. And so for me, that just wasn't the case. We weren't brought up in the church at all. It just wasn't even something that we talked about, considered, discussed at all. So totally different upbringings as far as that goes. And then when I met Nancy, certainly after a while of dating, I got the invite to come to St. John's specifically. The family joke on me is, and I didn't know any better, we were worshiping and Nancy grabbed my hand as we were closing our eyes to pray, and I thought it appropriate to reach over and hold the person's hand next to me, and that was Nancy's sister Sarah. And Sarah to this day still makes fun of me that I held her hand during worship.
And she let him. She held it right back the whole time.
She absolutely held my hand right back.
I think it was the first time you met her too. Not only was it it was one of those first times at church, first time you met Sarah. Okay. Yeah. Welcome to the family. I think I said Jody kind of surprised me. I wasn't looking for a husband when I met him. And when we started dating, it started getting, kind of serious. And admittedly, while I was brought up in church and I've always had a strong faith and a good relationship with the Lord, I was not in church constantly when I met Jody. I'll be at work or whatever, at school, whatever it was, but I wasn't consistently in church. But as I saw him becoming a staying person in my life, he wasn't going anywhere, and I started to think of us more seriously, I knew that I would not marry a man who wasn't a believer and didn't have his faith in the Lord, and I wanted my kids there. And so as we started to get serious, it became much more important for me to have him at church. But stop for a second, if I'm not in church every week, how can I expect that of him? So in a lot of ways, he challenged my faith just by the fact that I can't expect that of him if I'm not doing it myself. So we did attend St. John's together, and I remember one day in our relationship where we were getting very serious, and it was to the point where I was like, I can't marry a man that's not a Christian. And he was like, but we have all the same values, we have all the same morals, we believe all the same things, but they just come from different places. Yours come from the Bible and mine comes because it's the right thing to do. And we got into quite a heated debate or discussion or argument that day. And he challenged my faith immensely by a lot of the questions that he asked me and the reasons why I believed. And I've never been really challenged that way, particularly to the point that we were discussing it. And at that point, I think is really when we dove in as a couple, that he, was willing to not just attend church with me, but really, I can't speak for you, but in my head, that's the pivotal point of him attending church for the purpose of seeking the Lord, as compared to just going because his girlfriend wanted you to go sit at church with your family.
I think it's important to note that when we did have that discussion, you went home, and I think it was your dad that kind of reinforced your thinking, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, but made some sort of comment along the lines of, if it's supposed to be, it will. I think it falls right in line.
I went home to both my parents and cried. But yeah, you're right. You're very right. And I kind of go back to train up a child in the way he should go. I was brought up that way, and I knew that that's the way that I wanted to marry my husband and have my kids that way.